welcome. Another edition of 372 pages we'll never get back. This is the podcast about bad books, and we are on a doozy, The Mister, by P.D. Carl or something. I don't know.
What? L. James. It's like Quickdraw's McDraw's alias, L. Kabong.
L. James.
Yes.
That's right. That's how I'll remember it from now on. Thank you for that mnemonic device. I was looking for her book. I posted something over for our Patreon people, and we'll tell everyone who we are in a second.
Sure.
But I was combing a half-price books. I don't know if that's a national chain or not, but there's one here. And I couldn't find E.L. James. I thought there would be an entire section of hers.
Wow.
But I went to fiction, nothing. I kept finding people like Hemingway and crap like that. And then I went to the romance section, and there were, it was just packed to bursting with bodice rippers, and she was not represented. But
wow.
But then my wife said, ahoy. She was up at the front of the store. Mike. And then it was in a big display up front was The Mister. But I couldn't find any of her other books. But
that's bizarre.
I assumed there would be just, bins of it, just, huge dumpsters of this stuff. But,
right. People wheelbarrow in their copies of the books once they're done with them. I don't know. Maybe they occupy a special place in people's shelves even once they're done reading them, like you display your like a college kid displays his DVDs on a shelf next to his TV.
Right. Yeah. Or the people just snap them up right away. So I guess I have to be there on, E.L. James Tuesday or whatever and be in the front of the line to get them. But anyway, yes, I am Michael J. Nelson, and you are?
I'm Connor Listoka. Yeah, we've been reading The Mister. It's wormed its way into our consciousness. In fact, as much so that it's influenced our cooking.
Yeah.
I made a banoffee pie. I made a banoffee pie last week. Banoffee pie featured into a very erotic scene in our last section. He feeds her, he here comes the airplanes her a slice of banana cream and toffee pie. And, I made fun of that because it's a very stupid name, banoffee. But I secretly thought it sounded good because I like bananas. I like toffee. So I tried to make it. I posted a little cooking video over on Patreon, and I think that the pieces are there. I think someone could make a good banoffee pie.
Yeah, the Great British Bake Off probably has a much more appetizing version of it. Yours, when it got to that peanut butter stage, I was hard pass for me. I was out on that. The texture looked revolting.
Essentially, for toffee, what they claim you do is you take a can of sweetened condensed milk and just heat it for half an hour until it sort of caramelizes, and it turns into they say once it resembles peanut butter, you take it out. And the problem with mine was that it didn't taste bad. It was sweet, like toffee is. It was just that it was very difficult physically to eat. It got so hard, and I don't know if I cooked it too long or if it just if that was going to happen with the bad condensed milk I bought. But the long story short, the pie is still sitting in our fridge with one slice taken out of it because Lauren refuses to bring it to work because she's worried that a coworker will chip her tooth on it, and we will we'll be sued out of existence. So
so did the toffee part of it? Did it crystallize? Is that at that stage of it?
It got when I put it into the pan, it didn't really even smooth out. It was that hard and sticky. So now when you bite into it, it's just like, it's as if you had your Halloween candy 10 months later, that sort of like biting into it like almost like a Jolly Rancher like type of thing. Like it does bend. You're just going to have to really work it with your teeth. So it's not good.
Well, I think it was capped off by the way that you did the whipped cream that looked like those oxidized dog turds in the sun. Didn't help any matters at all.
So, yeah, okay. So you've probably decorated many cakes. I just started squeezing whipped cream out of a makeshift pastry bag and wasn't sure how best to do this. So I just started coiling it up. And it was not, the little bit of coffee I had added to the cream didn't give it a very appetizing looking color. Or texture. It sort of looked like just a large, wide poo emoji on top of the banoffee. So
yeah, I think you would have been better off just using the whipped cream in the cans that when I worked at a restaurant never worked because all of the cooks were doing whippets out of them and putting them back. So literally you'd have to go through 10 cans until you found. You'd be better off with that. That makes a more decorative topping, I think.
Sure, yes. Makes the experience of making the banoffee more enticing too.
Yes, but I did without the aid of any whippets. I have simmering on my own stove. This is how much this book has influenced us. I thought it sounded weird. His favorite dish, this is the Lord of Trelason Manor, Lord Trevethick.
Lord Trevethick, Star Raider.
Yes. His favorite dish, this rich playboy DJ, his favorite dish is beef stew with prunes. So I thought, well, this guy has taste. I mean, this guy is drinking, champagne in Majorca with models. This guy has some exquisite taste. So I have simmering on the stove some beef stew with prunes, and later, as a treat, we'll dig into that because it's always good radio, good podcasting to eat food into a microphone. So we'll do that later. I wish you could be here to share it with me.
I do too, but I do have a reaction. You said the name of the dish, and my reaction was to think in italics, prunes, because that is a foreign concept, and that is my concern. I'm just baffled by the word prune.
I will say, just imagine in your head, what do you think happens to a prune when it goes into a stew after several hours? It swells up, right?
Yeah. So it
returns to its plum form, but in a more, I don't know. It resembles
bulbous
something that tightens a lot in this book. Is all I'm going to say. So,
oh boy.
So we've got that to look forward to. Yeah.
So you get your prunes are stirring.
Indeed.
Oh man. All right. Well, yeah. So we're cooking. If anyone else has made any dishes from this book, let us know. I don't doubt that beef stew with prunes will be okay.
It's the savory and the sweet is a taste that I'm drawn to. I like, like in Jamaican cooking with the hot, spicy, and then the sweet, or a chutney or something like that. But I don't like prunes, so I'm just wondering where this is going to go. So,
well, yeah, and maybe too, like it would have been good to do like 6 months ago in the dead of winter, but.
Yeah, it is a hot summer day here, and I'm eating beef stew with prunes. It's a little off-putting.
Nice.
So where were we? We're starting with chapter 20 is our reading, right?
Yeah. And we had just been left with him getting a phone call that his apartment back in London had been burgled. That was the cliffhanger of the last time, which is, as far as this book goes, was high up there on the cliffhanger scale, because we got a chapter ends in this section with one of the stupidest end of chapter sentences I've ever read. So we'll get to that, but this was legitimately dramatic.
Yeah, we were of course shocked that it did not end with an italicized S or F. Very shocking. Yeah. So I don't know. Did he open the chapter with that?
We do. We get to those very quickly. He's talking to his neighbor, Mrs. B, who owns some sort of yappy dog whose name is Heracles. So she's gone with the alternative Hercules. I'm Hercules diehard. I'm a Hercules ride or die. So she can go to hell for naming her dog Heracles. It's a little it seems a little desperate to me.
Yeah, all of these characters on the phone can go to hell as far as I'm concerned. Oliver, we mostly get on the phone, and that guy bugs me. I don't like that guy.
But so she says he's been burgled. A chill sweeps across his skin as every hair on his body stands to attention, and suddenly I'm fully awake. And he runs his fingernails over his scalp. So he's probably he just woke up. He's too asleep to really get the full fingers through the hair. That's a move you gotta have your wits about you to do.
I noted that and said she really has a problem with simple physical descriptions. Gripping people in odd ways and doing things. She just doesn't. This is not a thing I've ever heard. Or, I mean, I guess people they scratch their head. Is that running your fingernails over your scalp?
Maybe it's like when you sort of like you sort of like try to get someone to have goosebumps. That's what I was reading it as. Like it's very strange.
Oh, one of those like little wire massagers.
Yeah,
you put on your
exactly.
head
Yeah.
kind of thing. Right. Anyway, another odd physical description.
Sure, but we get immediately to his reaction. He says, "Oh, it's okay, Mrs. B. Thank you." I hang up, all italicized. Shit, fuck, bollocks. So bollocks is a new one. And then he says, "What have the fuckers stolen? I don't have much. All the important stuff is in the safe. I hope they haven't found that." All italics. Bugger, bugger, bugger. So he's agitated. We're getting some new profanity tossed in there, British profanity, but italicized as we've seen him his wont to do.
Yeah, but he calms down immediately because then the next paragraph, non-italicized. What a fucking nuisance! So
Right.
back to being calm and rational about all this.
Yes, and so he says he's worrying about what he's got in there, his cameras, his DJ dicks. Woo!
Whoa!
Freudian. We'll get to his DJ dick a little later on, but my decks, my computer, shit, my father's cameras. What a fucking pain in the arse this is. And then this is the start of him being just colossally stupid. Some fucking low-life addict or maybe some feral teenage kids wrecking my place. Fuck a duck. So he's been hiding out because some thugs came to his house. He's been hiding out. That is the reason he's in Cornwall. And so he receives word that his house has been robbed. And so his first thought is low-life addicts or teenage kids just doing it for kicks. So he doesn't really put two and two together.
We've learned one thing. He's not a bright man. But he, as you said in this, he goes bananas over this. His place is burgled. And once again, we get those reactions of him. He's like a flatworm or something that is in a petri dish and he's prodded with a pin and, he just reacts. Everything goes bananas. He twists around his scalp, tightens everything, He is the most reactive thing.
It's just a
And
stimulus and
There's
response.
more of this coming. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
But he doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any. This is mainly related to her. I mean, he's rich; he'll be able to fix his apartment. But he's very. It's clearly related to Alicia, and he does the sort of thing that just always bugs me. It was something that was central to the plot of Lost, where and it happens in movies all the time where like characters possess information and they just for whatever reason find a excuse not to share it with the other characters. Like on Lost, there would always be people who knew what was happening on the island and people would be like, what's going on? And they'd be like, there's no time to explain it. To explain something that would take 45 seconds to explain it. So he gives Alicia one of those. I thought it was hilarious. What is wrong? I've got to pop out and take care of something. We may even have to go back to London, but you stay in bed. Sleep. I know you're tired. I'll be back soon. She pulls the quilt up, her brow furrowed in concern. I give her a swift kiss and go grab a shower. So you have this victim of sex trafficking. You clearly have received a phone call that agitates you, but you're like, please stay out of this. This isn't affecting you at all. Terrified victim. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, I mean, that even relates to supposedly the central mystery of the thing, him not telling her that he's a lord. Like,
right.
It's a complete non sequitur. It's a complete red herring.
Yes.
Because he's acting in every way he's rich as Croesus, and she sees that, so there's no reason to hide it.
Yes.
It's not like he's doing the pulling on a pair of, rumpled work suit and pretending he's a janitor. He's going about like he is a lord.
Yeah, he's not
going
out
on
the back
shooting
door.
expeditions.
Right.
Yeah. So that makes no sense either. But here was a great sentence that reminded me of a Ken Burns documentary when he's describing his state here. He says, I wish we had the music to run in the background. Feeling fucked off and with a heavy heart, I head back into the bedroom where Alicia is still in bed. Oh, my dearest. I have a heavy heart, but I am feeling fucked off. Very weird combination of phrases there.
Yes, wow. Oh, my dearest.
I'd never heard the feeling that way, but the heavy heart really brings it home.
He's probably feeling so fucked off and has a heavy heart because he reveals, I had plans to spend the day with Alicia, maybe go down to the Eden Project. So that was his plans. He had plans to spend the day and maybe go somewhere. So he is using the loosest usage of plans in human history.
Maybe they were going to go down by the sea so she could jump around and go, the sea, the sea.
Yeah. He's like, this has gotten old. This is... but yeah, so she wakes up. She hands him a cup of espresso to wake you up, she says with an adoring smile. Though her eyes are wide and wary, she's anxious. I swallow it down. It's hot, strong, and delicious. A little like Alicia. So I was like, this is like the worst love letter that some dipshit ever wrote in high school in novel form at this point in time. It's just, it's beautiful, just like you. Like it's one step removed from that.
Yeah, it reminded me of like something that the lowlifes I used to work, night jobs at a cheese factory with, who'd come in drunk and work 12 hours, and then they'd go to the bar and be like, I like my coffee like I like my women. Like, oh my God. Just the lamest. Yeah, but he does a lot of that. I mean, I started to take notes on how many times he described her in just dumb ways of she's beautiful, she's mine, I love her. And I just stopped. I'm like, that's half the book. I can't.
Right. Yeah. But those are all internalized because, as of this point, he's not yet told her that he loves her. And so we still get a lot of confusion and whiplash in this section where no one is certain that these people even like each other. So that informs the plot of this section very, very strongly.
Yeah, he heads... So he goes to his
the main manor,
the main house. Yeah,
this is good though. We get a great Kleinian term. This is the first of 3 Kleinian things I felt like.
Oh, I didn't have any Kleinians marked, not in this chapter anyway.
Through the leafless trees, I catch sight of the house, nestled in the wide dale, slate gray and Gothic. It dominates the landscape as if plucked from a novel by one of the Bronte sisters. So you have the Kleinian thing of, that thing from A Way Better Thing? It's like that. No need to describe it any further in my own terms.
Right. It's her, the same dodge she did with, then she talked endlessly and fascinatingly. Like, put that in here then.
Yeah.
She's like a moron. He says about the place, the furniture dates back to before the war, the 1930s, I think. Well, the war started in 1939, so that's a good bet. What's the other Kleinian?
They come later. They are characters being unsure about the things that they are looking at. They are both they were baffling. I read them both to Lauren, who is an editor, and she was furious that I was ruining her pleasant Sunday with these awful turns of phrases.
Normally, she loves when you read from the books that you're currently reading through for this podcast,
right,
I'm sure.
She's like, you already made me try banoffee pie, and now you are actually sharing the pros with me. This is not going well.
Suck it, Sonos, in this sentence.
Uh-oh.
Firing up the iMac, I log in and open FaceTime, then click on Oliver's contact link. Sonos, you're dead to me.
Right. Well,
it's all about FaceTime.
You can operate Sonos from a Mac. I have the app. Running on my Windows 7 PC at the moment.
Oh, nice drop there. I assume we're getting paid for all of these references.
Right. I'll just fire it up, aka click once on it. There we go.
Firing. I give it a couple pulls on the throttle, but it doesn't fire up.
Jiggling the mouse to re-wake the screen up. So he goes and he goes to my Mac is in Kit's study. Then he says, I ignore her and head into Kit's study. Fuck, my study. The room feels and smells as if my big brother is still in residence, and I halt as an intense pang of grief bubbles up from nowhere. Damn you, Kit. I miss you. Okay, that's out of the way. We'll get to whatever he's doing next. But these instances of him missing Kit and grieving are always like one sentence, maybe one word, as he just sort of... I parodied it in the cooking the banoffee pie recipe as I paused during whipping the cream to mourn for Kit for 2 seconds. And it's literally what he does in the actual book.
It's hidden depths, Connor. He's... so much deeper than just a wastebasket filled with used condoms.
Yes, he's deeper than his dead mouse head that he keeps next to his DJ dicks.
So then we get a musing about, and I didn't know where this was going, but then it does actually come to something of Alicia wondering if she could work up the courage to touch him, ... everywhere.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
boy, what a cliffhanger. Do you think she will in an E.L. James book? I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see.
So this is something that, yeah, it does come close to resolving itself at the end of this thing. But in terms of a character development, this is sort of her hero's journey, right? Whether she'll be able to actually, touch his wang.
Yes.
So it's up there with... when you think about your great heroes' journeys, think about, Odysseus's trip home. You think about, the power of one, like the kid in that PK sort of overcoming all his things to become a championship boxer. This is up there with them, whether Alicia will touch Maxim's dong, I think.
This inciting incident here where they're finally together. This is, it's amazing. It's like the red badge of courage. Will he be able to find his way through this and make his way back home? Yeah.
But it's also she's working backwards. They've had countless sex. They've been far more intimate. Like, every 99% of people progress in the opposite way. You know what I'm saying? It's like she's like, am I going to be able to do this after they've been humping like dogs for the entire weekend? It's like if you say you won $10,000 on a lotto scratch off. That's good news, right? Yeah,
right.
But if it had come after 3 days after you won $100 million in the Powerball, you'd be like, throw it on the pile, I guess.
Yeah, I think is it just her way of she's trying to pretend that she's demure, like that's what she settled on, and so she just, because she's a terrible, I think that needs to be stated again. She's a terrible writer.
Right.
And so she's trying to still put a patch on that, like, I had him boned 17 times,
right.
But please remember, she is a demure little butterfly of a creature, and we all love and adore her. She's like a little, like you hold her in your two little hands and you just care for her. But will she touch his wang? I don't know. She's so sweet.
He's been bending her over. They've been sucking on her toes in the tub as he pours champagne over her. Like, it's working backwards. Like, I think Maxim, if you asked, if she was like, finally, Mr. Maxim, I would like to, I would like to touch your pee-pee. He'd be like, oh, have you not? Wow. Yeah, now that you mention it, I guess you haven't. I've been so busy,
let me
doing
see.
all
I
this
filmed
kinky
every
stuff.
one of these,
Yes.
so let me just check the tapes.
It's ridiculous. All right.
But while she's musing and all of that, this is an actual sequence that someone put into a book. It's just 3 sentences long. Here's the prose of E.L. James. She decides on the black jeans with a gray top and a pretty pink cardigan. She hopes that Maxim will like what she's chosen. Finally dressed, she picks up the hairdryer and switches it on, its high-pitched whir filling the silence. That needed to be put into a book.
It paints a picture.
Pointing that out. It really does. She hopes that Maxim will like what she's chosen. Those things are sort of built into every decision. We assume, I hope people don't vomit on this hat that I wear. Like, that's why you chose that hat. We don't need to spell this stuff out.
Maybe like a 16-year-old teenager is like, I hope that my parents hate this gross outfit I put on because it's the one time in a human's life that you might want to do that. But yeah.
Yeah, here's a safety pin through my ear. I wonder if my parents are going to like this.
Yeah. So he goes about his looking at the estate. I thought this was just a weird time for this detail. He's talking about during its heyday, it would have employed hundreds of people. But we also have 8 tenant farmers whom I met on my recent trip. They raise livestock and various arable crops across 10,000 acres, all organic, thanks to my father. So it's a good detail. Important at this point in time as he's about to learn who has burgled his apartment. But his father was as we were told once earlier in the book, a pioneer in organic farming.
Well, again, she's saving the cat with this guy because her father was virtue signaling.
Sure. Wow.
I think that's obviously why that's in there, right?
Remember,
he's a good guy. He's a good guy.
Right. I suppose so. I I think at this point in time, we've learned that he's, good. Like he's already changed enough based on this relationship. But yep, I guess that's just another pin in his hat.
Yes, and then while she's lounging about, taking various showers and putting on various scented things and pink cardigans and all of that, this is, I think, the first bit of anything that's happened is now going to happen.
Sure.
People come into the place, the hideout where she's staying, and she hears them. She hears voices. Urte, someone grates in a strangled whisper. It's her mother tongue. And I know that when I'm in a foreign country and I hear English, I go, hark, it's my mother tongue.
Yes.
I assume that would have been a place for her to go, Zot.
Sure.
I don't know why that wasn't in there, but no, she stopped and thought about her mother tongue at that moment.
Maybe that was a, in the sex trafficking van, her and Bleriana were speaking their mother tongue to each other.
I forgot about Bleriana.
We didn't get any more of her. I hope that is not an unresolved plot point. But the thugs have broken into her house, and I like, how was he described when he said Urte? Was it like a guttural, like, what did you just read?
It was a grates in a strangled whisper.
Yeah. So we get the
Nick
thugs.
Nolte came in and gave it a reading for me.
There is nothing about the thugs that is like even remotely human. They're purely just like revolting and like squat and like, hairy moles on their face and guttural urtes and stuff. So it's a pretty funny contrast to everyone else in this book who is shockingly attractive.
And they later they don't get any color added to their character, as we'll find out. They're on point the whole time.
But as the thugs are breaking in, he's over in the main house talking to Danny, I think, the sort of the keeper. And this was just a stunning exchange. So Danny has been, feeding and caring for them. They know they're in the hideout, and he's being coy. And we're told that Danny is sort of, she makes the whole thing run. So she's supposedly a sharp character who's like, she knows in advance when he's going to want like stew with prunes type of thing. So
melt in the mouth French toast,
right?
Is one thing he likes.
But so she has exhibited a lapse in judgment over the past 24 hours. He says, "I hear you had a successful day yesterday. It was fun. Thank you again, Jenkins." He gives me a nod, and Danny smiles. "That reminds me," she says, "there were two very unsavory characters who came calling for you yesterday." What? She has my immediate attention, and everyone else is in the room. She pales. "They were asking after you. I told them to bugger off, sir." "Unsavory?" "Rough-looking, sir. Aggressive. From Eastern Europe, I think. Anyway," and he says, "Fuck, Alicia." So, Servant of the Year here has had two rough-looking, aggressive people, unsavory people from Eastern Europe show up, and she has not thought to mention this to him up until this point.
Right.
It's incredible.
As he's lounging about with the frail-looking woman from Eastern Europe.
Yes, who he's been very coy and protective of.
Yeah.
And he's arrived suddenly and demanded things and said, "Don't tell anyone I'm here." Even if he hadn't, even if he had just been hanging out, having a grand time. We've been told nothing other than these people are, you can look at them and know that they're criminals. And so she has just thought that this is knowledge to, I sent them on their way. I'm sure it was nothing, like you would if a kid selling magazines showed up at your door.
I love that she is trying to go past it too. Anyway.
Right. But then she immediately pales when he says what? So that's all it took for her to realize she's made a grave mistake.
Yeah, Connor, these guys came past the Rift Tracks offices. They were both like bent over in half. They had like claws. They had, they didn't trim their fingernails. One had a bat that he kept like whacking into his other palm, and he's like, "Where's Connor?"
Yeah. The other one had a picture of my mom with the eyes scratched out on it that he was showing to anyone who would look at it.
Anyway, we should probably go ahead to Red Robin. They're having a special on fries.
Yes. My God. It's hilarious. Yeah. So yeah, that's where he's left off at. So it's he's rushing back to the house. She is just hearing the Urte guys, and she's barricaded herself in the bathroom. But that's where the chapter ends. So dramatic.
Very dramatic. She does make this note though that the Mister is no match for these guys. The reasoning: he is one man and they are two.
Yes, yes.
This is like someone who is just born, like learning, okay, he's one. Wait, I'm not my mom. I'm a different person. She's
right.
figuring out how
I'm not
identities
Bleriana,
work.
but we were in the sex traffic van together.
Yes, I was very close to her, but we're separate entities.
Yes. But do not fail to mention that she is making that sort of mental calculation. She is a chess prodigy and piano savant. So, she's literally been called a genius, I think, by our hero. So, evidence on display right there.
Maybe it's her synesthesia. I can't say that word. It's my Ogden. I'm doomed.
Synesthesia? Yeah. There we go.
Yes. Well done. Well, I'll just pass it over to you when I need to say that word.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's all I got for 20.
Yeah, that's all I got for 22. So, but before we move on to 21, we did this once, maybe 2 episodes ago. But I have found an Amazon reviewer who loved the Mister.
Oh, great!
And I've found some more of their reviews, and I'm gonna quiz you on whether you think she liked these things or not.
Great.
But
I love this.
So far, her Amazon review was just a couple days ago, June 6th, 5 stars. Headline: I loved this book, and then I think 8 exclamation marks. She said, I loved this book. I've read it twice, start to finish. I love how the story unfolded. To most people, the story might seem impossible. The depth of the 2 main characters developed greatly throughout the book. And for me, it was a great read. I guess to each his own holds true. That's the last line. I don't know what she means by that, but so yeah,
I suppose she was just feeling the pressure of those a lot of 1-star and 2-star reviews.
Yeah,
so.
but something she liked about it, as she read it twice, was the depth of the 2 main characters developed greatly.
She obviously does not have a job if she read this thing twice. It is so overly long.
Yeah, it is amazing that you could just not, start flipping, be like, oh, okay, here's where this is going to happen. Eyes gloss over 10 pages later. We'll get back to the thinnest gruel of the plot it offers up. But hey,
Okay, blah, 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 blah. Will she touch his wiener? Oh, I'm hooked.
I guess to each his own holds true, Mike. So anyway, here are some things you're going to guess whether she liked them or not. Number 1. The R in R&B video collection. That is a collection of classic R. Kelly music videos.
Yeah, 4 stars.
Yep, she liked it. 5 stars. Classic R. Kelly. I love this DVD. All of his hits and are performed beautifully.
All right.
Okay. Next one. En Vogue live in Birmingham, Alabama.
5 stars.
1 star.
What?
Yes. This DVD came in a format that does not play on any of my DVD players.
Oh, for God's sake. She bought a PAL version
of... Exactly. She region locked. She's searching for a DVD that will play it, but she has 3 DVD players. It doesn't work in any of them. Next. Movie, A Puppy for Christmas.
Oh, 2 stars.
No, 4 stars. This was a pretty good movie if you love dogs. On that same theme, A Puppy for Christmas, we now have A Wish for Christmas.
Oh, not as good as A Puppy for Christmas. 2 stars.
5 stars.
Damn.
She says this is another great movie featuring Lacey Chabert, who I assume you know from the Hallmark Channel.
Yes, yeah, she's I'd say their number 3 bit player.
Okay.
Candace Cameron Bure would be their go-to.
Okay,
but she's in the stable for sure.
Next product. This is a long title. Lifetime Movies Triple Feature: A Change of Heart, The Truth About Jane, Her Desperate Choice.
5 stars.
Of course. 2 stars. I saw these movies on Lifetime Network, and they were a lot better than this DVD version. I think there's something like the picture quality was not as good on the DVD, so I'm not really sure. And then final, you've been throwing darts blindfolded on this one. The last one, Clipco binder clips, medium 1.25 inch black clips, 96 pack.
Are they those like fold over kind of paper
butterfly clips? Yeah, like you'd hold a bunch of papers together.
Cheap construction. They get the job done, but barely. 3 stars.
Oh, I'm so sorry. 5 stars. The quality is just as good as the ones I usually buy at Office Depot.
Ah, damn.
So she contains multitudes. Loves R. Kelly, hates En Vogue. loves Puppy for Christmas and Wish for Christmas, but hates Lifetime movies.
Does not have a multi-region DVD player.
Yes.
We know that about her.
Things that have been standard for decades, but no. So, all right. Well, it's hard to do. It's hard to know what people like based on their love of the Mister.
Yeah, man. I think I got, I got maybe 2 out of...
Yeah, 2 out of like 6, I think, so.
That's bad. You did way better on... and you nailed the 1 star didn't receive, which is my favorite kind of review.
It worked out. It was a very lucky guess, but I'm glad I did. You saved it for last, so it was a little bit of a gift.
Yeah. Chapter 21.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, we're picking up the pace here, and here is I'm compressing all of the physical reactions that Alicia has during this break, this B&E that is happening live in chapter 21. Mm-hmm. Here's her physical state. Her heart is pounding. Her pulse is thumping. The blood is draining from her head. The room spins. Her legs shake. Her hands are shaking. Her hands are clammy. She gasps for air. She's dizzy with fear. She's feeling powerless. Her legs give out. She puts her fist in her mouth.
And that's all like probably 2 paragraphs, right?
It's 2 paragraphs.
Wow.
So, I mean, basically, if you saw her, you'd go, this woman has 3 minutes to live, tops.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
We have got to get a paramedic in here now.
Grand mal seizure, like she's touched a electrified fence and is doing sort of the scarecrow dance.
Yeah, you are taking your wallet out of your pocket and trying to put it under her tongue to save her.
But yeah, she's essentially Wendy Torrance in The Shining, as those guys are going to, here's Johnny through the bathroom door. But yeah. Wendy Torrance held it a bit better together. I mean, she was, shrieking hysterical, but I don't know that she was putting her whole fist in her mouth.
Oh, I don't know if Wendy also, I don't know if her panic mushroomed like hers does.
That was a good one.
She had panic and then it mushroomed.
That was someone's dumb sentence. I like Maxim's reactions as he was sort of speeding in his Jag back to the house. I tear down the lane, clattering over the cattle grid and pushing the Jag to go faster. I have to get back to the house. I'm finding it hard to breathe. My anxiety is a weight pressing on my chest. Alicia, why did I leave her at the house? And I thought that was a very good question because, you're here to protect her. Something bad has happened that is clearly tied into the protection, and yet you've abandoned her out of some weird desire to keep your riches secret from the woman who knows that you're rich.
Right.
But
well, as he speeds back, I had to say about this one, I mean, we've talked about this previously, but even Chekhov has to sort of put his head in his hands and shake his, pinch his nose and go, come on, man. He grabs his shotgun, he puts the shells, 4 more into my coat pocket. I've never been so grateful as I am right now that my father taught me how to shoot.
Yeah. Truly just all caps. Remember, audience? But yeah, like you said, Chekhov puts his hand in his head, and then Chekhov looks up at the end of the chapter, exasperated, being like, "What? You didn't shoot the gun?" Like he's been taken on an emotional roller coaster here.
Yeah.
This was so he's has some thoughts here that are similar to the sort of similar to Danny's back in the thing. He says, "Is it them, the bastards who trafficked her?" Remember that she told him specifically that they were 2 Eastern European guys. So it maybe he is essentially thinking, is it the same 2 Eastern European thugs that trafficked her that came looking for me? And then
they were Eastern European. They were aggressive. Yeah, I don't know.
She's like, yeah, they were. They resembled the one was tall and thin, and the other was short and squat. But he says, I feel sick to my stomach. How the hell did they find us? How? And then he says, maybe they were the fuckers who burgled my flat. So he is just cementing his status as the dumbest man alive. Because he's thinking maybe they went back and entered my flat. Sort of, that's probably how they found his address. And then this was great. They found information on the Trevithick estate and Tresillian Hall, and now they're here asking questions. The fucking nerve of them coming to my house. And so I think that every time I read a story about 11-year-olds pulled out of a shipping crate who were being trafficked to the U.S., I think The nerve of those guys. Just the nerve. Shipping
That
these people here to be sex slaves. Oh, just the
You
nerve.
have got a lot of cheek, young man, coming to my place like that. Now you step back out and you try it again and you do it right this time.
Yeah, okay, fine. We
Sorry,
won't sex
Mr.
traffic. Yeah. So she's sort of, like we said, Wendy Torrance. I thought that it was she's looking around the room for something to defend herself, anything, his razor, her toothbrush. So we don't get the scene of her trying to fend off the thugs with his toothbrush, but I wish we had, because I don't know. I'm not sure how that would have worked out, if she would have like filed it down to like a prison shiv type of thing, or just like waggled it at him.
Yeah, I think probably taking the toenail file or the heel scraper and then, quickly sharpening it, I guess, the way you could do it.
She could have been like, hey, hang on, this is a hard bristled brush, and if you use it after several years, you'll have noticeable gum recession.
That's right. Especially if you press too hard. The description of the guys, as you said, nothing is spared for these gentlemen. His breath is rank, as if something died on his tongue,
yes.
And his body odor washes over her in a haze of squalor.
Yes, it really is. It's like describing a mutant who's emerging out of the sewer.
Dickens says, "Settle down here."
She pees her pants. She curls after they burst through the door. He crashes through the door. She curls up into a ball, sobbing as fear paralyzes her body. Her bladder fails, and the telltale wetness seeps down her legs and into her new jeans. So, it sounds like
that was a dumb sentence of the week for me.
Oh, damn.
Well, what are you going to do?
Poe's unsuccessful follow-up to the telltale heart was the telltale wetness as she pees her pants into the thing. So those are the outfits she'd picked out, hoping Maxim would like it. So that's unfortunate.
But I did wonder if both the bad breath and the body odor, I didn't want to look it up. Is that an Albanian thing?
Yeah, I don't. It's a very good question. It was not.
I mean, it's legitimate. The French, they cultivate a body odor. It is not it's not an insult to say it. They talk about it. It's like your own odor is culturally that's a good thing, not a bad thing.
So yeah, I mean. There was no mention of that as a stereotype on Fax King, but then again, like she's as pristine and demure and angelic as one could possibly be. So maybe just a man thing. I don't know.
Yeah, but language-wise, they're not very elevated in their language. I don't know. We could just there you are. Again, this language. By now, this language is rough.
Yes.
There you are, you fucking bitch. Stop fucking sniveling, you filthy whore. But then Maxim comes in, and we read this. This was a piece of fan fiction.
Yes.
Maxim, bursts in the door. Avenging Angel, and he elevates the thing immediately. Step away from her, you fucking piece of shit.
Yes. I think that's where the fan fiction ended, though. So we don't get what comes next, which is just, the firmest of settle downs. Maxim's voice bellows through the room. What? Alicia opens bleary eyes. He's here. Maxim is standing on the threshold, shrouded in his dark coat like an avenging archangel, his eyes flashing a deadly green, and he's brandishing his double-barreled shotgun. Wow. So he's coming out of there like Keanu Reeves in The Matrix or something, wearing a trench coat or something to like do a Sarah Connor one-handed cock of the shotgun, like.
But as you read that, did you come to the correct conclusion? Because it is spelled out. In case you missed the facts from that paragraph, she follows up with, "He's here with his gun." So.
Wow.
So we get all that information, but then I don't know where you're going. Where is he going with this? What's happening? Oh, he's here with his gun. Got
Good.
it. Okay.
A few. I do have that thing where I forget what was in the paragraph right before the one I read. I'm a memento guy, but in a reading sense.
We do get the words of the guys. A bunch of Albanian comes at me. Sorry, I was just searching. I stumbled. Baldy is one of them. Baldy spits words at his rat-faced colleague. Este pastrusia etij, nese me pastrus dote thuash concubine.
Yes.
Aho nuk vien askie, gruje ashakul permi biat, rat face replies. Which when I read it, I assumed what that meant. I didn't translate it, but doesn't this idiot look like that DJ we saw in Mallorca? That's what I assumed that conversation was about.
That was very well done in the with the accent. I don't think I could have
is it
captured the gutturalness of their hideous speech.
I suppose. If you pictured me sort of bent over with my hands in claws and, spitting out the words, yes.
Sure, a spittoon to need to clear your throat after every 3 sentences. But that's that first one you read is it has ramifications because she heard what they said and she understood it, and it echoes in her mind as she goes on when they call her "Titrash concubine." Because it means, I forget exactly, but something they're essentially saying is cleaner, more like she's his concubine. And so it does echo in her mind, and not just because they used the word concubine for the first time in the 21st century.
Right. And also she passed over 7 or 8 times. There's like, you fucking whore.
Yes,
so
right.
It's like, go on. Concubine, how dare you, sir?
Right.
She goes for the fainting couch on this one.
But just we need to point out, in case people aren't reading this, we've described her being them bursting through the door, her wetting her pants, the guy's calling her a bitch and a whore, Maxim bursting in the door with his shotgun saying, like, drop it. This all happened in literally 3/4 of a page. Like, yeah. There's the drama. Like they burst through the door, insult her, and he pretty much, they were almost bursting through the doors at the same time for as quickly as this happened, because I think he gives her a good kick in the ribs and pulls her up by her hair, and then Maxim is there. So the drama of the guys kidnapping her diffused in 3/4 of a page. The drama of will she touch his wang still going strong for about 80 pages now.
Yeah, I mean, as you read this, what did you assume? That she was going to be thrown in the trunk, and
yes.
Then the rest of the book, obviously,
has to get her back.
Yeah, it would be him doing Taken with his shotgun, with his, hand-polished bird rifles, and going through encampments and
a chase
rescuing
to the border.
other women.
Right.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Nope.
Immediately. It's so amazing. And then the thing, once he's sort of dispatched them, I thought this was pretty funny. She says, I need a change of clothes, Alicia mumbles. I frown. Why? He thinks why to himself. And it's just like, again, like at some point in time, you learn as a guy, or just as a polite member of society, that if someone says something like that, like I need to run to the bathroom, or like I need to pop into the drugstore. No, why? Frowning. It's like, what on earth do you think happened? I need to change my pants. Like, something has happened, like that's either normal or just more embarrassing. But like, what does he think? Why is the answer there? Yeah,
you're just meet your mother-in-law and you're driving her back from the airport. I'm so sorry, but I do need to. Can you make a stop at this next gas station?
Yes.
Just for a moment. I'll be right back. Why? What are you going to do? Please just pull over. No, I know, but I'd really like to know. Why don't you tell the whole car?
Right.
Idiot.
Yeah. The social graces are just like, I mean, I guess is he like, did she poop her pants or just pee them? Like that could be his. I don't know.
Well, later she's embarrassed about the fact that Danny knows that she's wet herself or whatever. Yeah. But at this point, she's driving there. She doubles over, retching on the side of the road, losing her breakfast. So, look, I mean, there's no need to be coy at this point.
Yeah.
I'm retching on the side of the road, which also made me think, those eggs and feta were so heavenly. I bet they were still good enough to eat.
Oh, boy, yes.
Even after she retched those up.
Tastes just as good coming back up. Yeah, there's no reason to be demure. Like, oh, my God. Like, when those thugs burst down the door, it was the most terrifying experience of my life, and I wet my pants. Whew, let's hope that doesn't happen again. I'm sure we all would have done the same thing in that situation. Moving on.
Yeah, they literally were kicking my midsection.
Yes.
My bladder gave way.
Yeah.
Like, well, of course. Yeah, sure.
Right.
Let's get you cleaned up. But this is again, this is our hero. These are the words of Maxim. Get on your knees, both of you, on your knees now. Not a fucking word from either of you. 2 barrels, both primed. I can take you both down. I will blow your fucking balls off. And I aim for Baldy's crotch.
Wow.
So yeah, this is his public school education coming in again, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It's a
very refined gentleman.
But she describes him as he's doing this as he's in his long coat brandishing a shotgun like a hero from an old American movie. And this is one of the places where a little Kleinism would have helped, brandishing a shotgun like a, just to really bring home what it's supposed to be, like a member of the Magnificent Seven or again, the Matrix. Like, I'm not sure exactly what we're supposed to take away. What exact look he's going for. So
right.
As a dumb reader, we need it spelled out more. But this was as he's doing the same thing to Ratface and Baldy. We just get another look at their saintly behavior and appearance. Maxim says, "You are a blight on humanity. You're going to rot in jail, and I'll make sure they throw away the fucking key." He puckers his lips and tries to spit in my face, but he misses. His spit drizzling down his chin. And I just wondered, did he really miss there? Like, it sounds like it just sort of like dribbled out, which I wouldn't, spitting and missing is like it veers, it whizzes past my ear type of thing. But it doesn't even really sound like it got an exit velocity out of his mouth.
How do you screw that up, by the way? That is not difficult. So this gets to an amazing section where, again, the insults just keep coming. He kicks Baldy in the ribs. That's for Alicia, you fucking scumbag. and then as a parenthetical, and all the other women you've sold into slavery.
Does he actually say that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And all the others.
Wow.
But that's clearly an afterthought, obviously.
Yeah.
But then Jenkins gets in on the action. Jenkins, his man.
Yeah.
His manservant, the guy who keeps his shotguns and who takes him on birding expeditions. Is kicking the guy in the ribs as well.
Yes.
And then says, this is Jenkins, says, "We could finish them off and dispose of the bodies, my lord." Placing the barrel of the gun against Ratface's head. So
it's incredible.
Reservoir Dogs all of a sudden.
Yeah.
From Jenkins. And this rung a bell with me. I remembered that, as you know, I'm a fan of P.G. Wodehouse, the prolific creator of Jeeves and Wooster and the Smith novels with a P, Smith. Wrote for like 50 years or something like that. And all the Jeeves and Wooster. Yeah. But there's one that I don't know if it's well regarded or not. You can dig around on Amazon and see if you can find it. But where Jeeves, you know the story. I mean, Jeeves is the butler, the smart,
the platonic
manservant to a dumb rich guy
who
narrates the book, and he's a bumbling fool, and Jeeves gets him out of all these little tangles.
Sure.
Yeah. And so I dug up the audiobook of one, and it's very similar to this, and I just thought I'd play it and see if it rings a bell with you too.
Absolutely, yeah. Because I've read a few of them on your recommendation, but haven't read them all. So I always want to hear more about them, more about the world.
All right. Well, this one I just pulled. I don't know. It's off of Audible or whatever. I don't know who the voice actors are, but this is an episode from a Jeeves and Wooster. So let's give it a run.
Still rattled by the Think Naughtle affair, I pointed the two-seater away from Aunt Agatha's, thrummed the engine, and in a blink and a half I tumbled into my sitting room and called out for my big-brained manservant. He'd soon set this right. "Jeeves!" He tinkled into the room.
Yes, sir.
"A moment of your..." I halted the discourse because, whereas there are not normally two frightful-looking blokes lashed to cane chairs in my sitting room, there presently were. This called for an investigation. "I say, Jeeves, there's a rough-looking pair. Friends of yours?"
No, sir. I apprehended these two gentlemen a short time after they had gained unauthorized entrance into your flat and were, as far as I could ascertain, attempting to steal the silver cow creamer.
Well done, Jeeves. Did you summon the constabulary?
No, sir.
That is the normal course of action, but I suppose you have your reasons.
Indeed, sir.
Follow-up question, Jeeves. Why are these two men without their trousers?
I was endeavoring to extract a confession from them by, shall we say, unorthodox methods.
How's that?
Just as you entered, sir, I was knotting a length of hemp with which to strike at and do damage to their testis, epididymis, and vas deferens.
English, please.
Ball torture, sir.
Oh. Well, carry on, Jeeves.
Very good, sir. Now, gentlemen, what, pray tell us, was the reason for your lawless ingress?
I say, this is rather a lark. Shall we cut off a toe or two?
I had sharpened the cheese knife for just such an eventuality, sir.
Smashing. Have at it.
With pleasure, sir. Fear not, gentlemen. I shall darn and launder your socks at this procedure's conclusion. So, it's strikingly similar, isn't it?
Wow, yeah. Who knew? So is that like a controversial Wodehouse book? Like, is it like Tintin in Africa or something where
right.
It's not really in print anymore? Or?
I guess it's hard to find. I don't know. It's just, usually, obviously, he just uses his wits and, he's high-toned. He's very, very intelligent man. So this is the first time I think he really resulted to, or, went to that level. So,
wow. So later in the book, do they tie up Gussie Finknottle and make him eat his own newts and something? Like, is it
right? Yep. And that is in the book. What is it called? Oh, here's the title: "Torture That Sack." G.
Oh, okay,
this one is called. So
okay. Yeah. Wow. Well, yeah, I like the sound of the cut of the jib of the people who did it. I'll probably seek out more of their work.
Yeah, certainly. All right, so. Where are we now? Okay.
So they're in the house, and there's some amazing reactions that Alicia has walking into this to the manor. I guess she says it's a large, airy room, the most spacious kitchen Alicia has ever seen. Wooden cupboards, tiled floor. It's spotlessly tidy, old and modern at the same time. There are 2 stoves. 2. So that's something that the recent attack victim might be taking note of.
Well, it's also. I noted the same thing, but for this reason, when she follows Danny into what looks like the kitchen.
Oh, wow. There we go.
Wow. So that's a little Kleinian, isn't it? What looks like.
Very much so. And I have 2 more of those marks coming up. I didn't notice that one, though.
Yeah. But it's the kitchen.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, so kitchen probably owned by Arthur Two Stoves Jackson, the former lord of the house, I think. But then the other thing that she does not really, she takes note of, the dogs come running in, and Danny's command stops the dogs in their tracks. They lie down, gazing up at both women. Alicia regards them suspiciously. They are handsome hounds, but where she comes from, dogs do not live in the house. So she's still damp in the crotch. She's hoping that her liver has not been punctured by the thing, but she's being that's different. In Albania, dogs live outside. That's something she's taking note of in this moment.
Right. In addition to noting the number of appliances in the various rooms.
But then, so that we're about to have the whole his cover is going to be blown on his whole family background. But Danny says, "You must have had a terrible fright." Alicia nods and blinks back the tears. "Ah, lassie, don't you be crying. His lordship wouldn't want that. We'll get you sorted." Then she thinks to herself in italics, "Lordship?" And so this is the crux of the whole, his betrayal. He's keeping a secret for her. But so she's out of the loop culture-wise that, 2 stoves and dogs in the house are surprising to her.
Right.
So she has absolutely no context for what lordship means. There's no, I have no context for what it means. And I'm a man of the world. but like it's as if it's as if you said, "Hey, I'm a deacon in the church." I'd be like, "Oh, that's a title. I don't know what it entails, so I'm not going to make any assumptions based on that title." You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
of course, yeah. I was thinking the parallel, and I'm so glad you allowed me to bring this up. This is true. I am a Kentucky colonel.
okay.
This is very true. I is awarded by the governor of Kentucky,
Huh.
and I say that to people, and obviously they have no idea what it means.
Right. Yes.
And so they say, "Do you why aren't you carrying a cane, and why don't you have spats on, or like what war did you fight in?" Stuff like that. It's the same thing. Like nobody has any. Why would she have any concept?
Yes. Right.
Of lordship, yeah.
It's not like she said he's the king of England, which like, oh, wow. But yeah, a lord just, it has to just be, ceremonial title. I mean, is that like being a member of the secretariat? Is he like just the community association president? Like the fact that triggers all this, shame and anguish is preposterous.
Yeah, I chair a board for a company you've never heard of.
You've never told me that. Our entire foundation of our relationship is built on a lie.
Yep, exactly. But then we'll get to it, but that is quickly dissipated as well. Yeah. So let's not even concern ourselves with it. Did you find yourself wishing for more of P.C. Nichols and Sergeant Nancarrow?
Oh, big time.
Yeah, I want Nancarrow. That made me shake my head again and go, "What? That was easily avoided." E.L. James, just Sergeant Smith. I don't know.
Right.
Nancarrow had me going, "What?
Right.
Is that a thing?
Right.
Do I need to look this up now too?"
It's probably like an allusion to like her kid's imaginary friend growing up.
Right.
Some idiotic name for a character.
But we get a little description of them, and very brief, and then they're asking, they're interrogating, and then she says, "And of course, it was he who came to the house to inform us of Kit's tragic accident." Of course. Why? Well, yes. Why did you even say that?
Yeah. So he was working that shift. Like, well, of course, he's the only policeman. He works 24 hours. Like.
Yeah. I guess she just means, of course, because E.L. James can't think of anything else. So, of course, I'm going to make that. That's what you should be reading.
Sure.
Of course, I do the obvious thing, and this is the guy. So
the ice cream bunny, of course. Yeah. Of course. As the detective and sergeant leave, he says, "We'll be on our way. I'll let you know how the investigation proceeds." Maxim throws in, "I bet these arseholes were the ones who broke into my flat in Chelsea. We'll be sure to check that out, sir." And let's imagine them being like, "Thank you, Columbo." Like, clearly, one, obviously they're the same people. Two, we've already got people looking into that. Like, what a dumbass.
It's I think I told it already when the police came to investigate my stolen bikes, and they left their own bikes, but they took the wheels off them. And the cop said something like, "Well, they obviously didn't ride up on these bikes." And I went, I think they took their wheels. Like, he goes, "Maybe."
Wow.
Okay. Maybe. So we get back to Alicia, and she has this reminiscence about the incident. Zot. The stink of him, fetid, stale sweat, unwashed, and his breath. And I thought, even in the police van miles away, you can hear him go, "Hey, come on." Yeah. You've hit me pretty hard at this point. We get it, all right?
Yeah. I'm sorry if I didn't have time to go to the spa during my 10-day sex trafficking operation. It's not like I'm, keeping my head above ground here. It's hard
Maybe
work.
If you'd handed me that toothbrush, I could have used it.
Yeah, I bet one of them is like, the rat, Baldy is probably thinking that he's rat face. And then when he realizes he's Baldy, he's like, "I have lost a little bit of hair. Okay. Like, come on. I'm not Telly Savalas here.
I'm thinning. Yes.
So she's the words are echoing in her head about being called a concubine. Danny has promised to be back in a wee minute. I liked this sentence. She's going to fetch the rest of Alicia's clothes from the car and bring her some painkillers for her head. It's throbbing because Dante pulled her upright by her hair. In case you had forgotten what happened a mere 9 pages ago, where she said he slaps her hard again and drags her to her feet by her hair. The pain is indescribable, as though her scalp is being torn from her head. So, just a good reminder that right. that the one thing that has happened in this book happened.
Well, then we get to, this is a key moment. She gets her out of the bath. Come now, let's get you out of there. We don't want you turning into a prune, she says. And I say, prune? Why, yes, I will. So let me go grab that bowl of stew.
Oh boy.
We'll take a little pause here, but we'll be right back.
Sounds good. All right.
All right, we're back.
Yeah, well, getting a live
hear the
tasting.
Yes, indeed. How do I describe the
how's it look?
The texture?
Bowl of brown.
The smell is, it looks like the, what is it? The Zerta River at high tide, or at high, in the spring when it's roiling, and it's sort of dark.
Okay.
The smell is good because it's got some cinnamon in there as a feature of it, as well as some paprika. Ooh. Smoked paprika, but it is a grass-fed beef roast that I used.
Oh wow! So like chunks of it, not a ground.
Chunks, yeah.
Nice.
So it's a high-quality meat. So here goes. I apologize for eating on you. You fill the space here.
So Mike's probably taking a bite now. I couldn't tell you the last time I had a prune. They have a context about them that is not super present. So I've sort of avoided them as an adult.
Okay, the beef is okay. I mean, it's not super flavorful, but that might be my fault. I don't know. There's not a lot of spices in this. It's mostly just the cinnamon, paprika, and bay leaves.
That's probably true to the way that they prepare it. It's not like England's known for being a super flavorful spice paradise.
Oh, I just had the prune. That is not a good texture. It's very slimy.
Wow.
It bursts in an unpleasant way, and then slime.
I cannot abide fruit bursting. That's why I don't. Blackberries, when they're too big, it's like biting into a grub.
Yeah, my friend of mine in college that was mushrooms for her, and she would just like, oh, are you eating that mushroom? To me, it's like a fetid little toe exploding. And I'd be like, all right, calm down. I like mushrooms. But that was her experience of it, was the biting when it, like, all that gross, like, fetid liquid shoots into your mouth. It's like, okay.
Yeah, right. Now, don't make me think about it. All right. Well.
So that was not good. Thumbs down.
All right. Well, what are you going to do with the rest of it?
I made a very small amount.
Oh, wow. You made
so I'm sous videing the rest of that beef for something that I actually want to eat.
Okay. All right. Well, so yours is not good. Mine was good but hard to eat, so possibly good if prepared in a different manner. So
there we go. British food. Huh. Who would have known? Not that great.
I give it a lower rating than that Art Kelly DVD video collection.
I give it even less of a rating than Standard Q-Tips from Barb T a few episodes ago.
But yeah, so she said she all italics thought prune. So I guess she was either questioning why she was forgetting that they had eaten the beef stew with prunes not 24 hours ago, or she was just wondering why Danny was turning into Mrs. Kintner from Jaws, who tells her son to get out of the water before he prunes, and he unfortunately does not listen to her. But then as she's getting her out and sort of toweling her off, Danny says, his lordship will be along as soon as he's dealt with the police. Come now. His lordship? Yes, dear. This is how the chapter ends. Alicia frowns, and Danny's expression echoes her. Did you not know? Maxim is the Earl of Trevithick. And so my reaction, and anyone normal would probably say, oh, huh. Well, I'm going to lay down. I've had a pretty rough morning. The
painkillers are getting to me. A little tired.
Instead of being told that someone is the Earl of something and being like, well, okay, don't know what that means, but that's the. But this sets into motion a whole ton of events in chapter 22.
Yeah, in chapter 22, it's we're in media res here. It's just continuation. Earl of Trevithick, and then I love the description of Danny saying this to her. This is his house, Danny says gently, as if talking to a child. All the land surrounding the house, the village. What? He didn't tell you?
Yes. She's Mr. Rogers all of a sudden.
Yeah, why? What? This person from the sex trafficked woman from Eastern Europe. Like, there's probably a lot of stuff that needs to be filled in here. We'll get to it.
Right.
It's not essential at this point.
Right. And then Danny says, I see. Her white brows knit together, but she shrugs. Well, I'm sure he's had his reasons. And he does have his reasons. The reason is he's a dumbass. Trying to hide this information from her.
Yeah. So this sets in, she begins repeating to herself, there it is again, Nesse pastruse dote thote concubine.
Yeah.
If by cleaner you mean concubine. So
Yes.
that was quite an exchange those two had, where in the middle of being, thrown to the, beating up a woman and throwing her around the bathroom.
Yes. They're like just doing a little bit of it's not really witty, but they're sort of, for them it's witty. For Ratface and Baldy, that's what you get.
Right. So she takes a bath, and then she realizes that she's been betrayed, and hot tears of shame and regret course down her cheek.
And also her stomach lurches at his betrayal. In the short time she's known him, she's fallen for him, fallen from a great height. Is a little thing to let you just know how much she's fallen. But the whole reason that she's so sort of confused here is I'm burning one of my dumb sentences here, but her knowledge of the English peerage is limited to 2 Georgette Heyer books her grandmother had smuggled into Albania. So again, her grandmother smuggling Georgette Heyer books about the English peerage into Albania, a book I would read. Damn it, that is
right.
That's like smuggling forbidden Western books into a communist nation. But that's a much more thrilling story.
Yeah. Did you look her up? I forgot to look her up. Like, why the smuggling? And my follow up is, was it worth the smuggling?
Right.
Like, was it worth the Stasi coming and beating you with steel rods after they discovered these books?
Right. Maybe you'd like hollow those books out and put something worthwhile to smuggle inside them. But man, I mean, Georgette Heyer must be one hell of a writer.
Yeah, I'm sorry I neglected to even look her up. Maybe someone out there knows who she is.
Sure. We get Danny telling him she's paling yet again. I mentioned you're the Earl of Trevithick, and this provokes an interesting reaction. He italicized, thinks to himself, "What?" and then says, "Shit." So he reverses. It's like Krusty the Clown when he says the quiet part loud and the loud part quiet. He just
Right.
he's so thrown for a loop here that he's thinking his thoughts and saying them.
I'm surprised it wasn't like a "shut up, you." Not now.
Right. And then we get to the first of my second Kleinian thing. She's sort of she's upset. She's sort of wandering his manor. She says. She thinks, on the landing, there's a mullioned bay window, beside which stand 2 suits of armor holding what look like pikes. And so yeah, this was the first one that disgusted Lauren, because I don't know I don't know what objects out there that are not pikes resemble pikes.
Yeah, I wondered, is this unreliable narrator stuff?
Right.
Is this she's playing at a different level here?
He did jerk her head around, she could have suffered some sort of concussion.
Yeah, is this all a dream? That was the clue when I told you they looked like pikes.
Right.
They weren't.
Right. It's like the Memento top or the Inception top. But she looks back over her shoulder and they're not there anymore.
But I want to point out something. The return. Here's the sentence. Thankful that she had acted on impulse to bring her old clothes, too. She tugs on her pink panties, bra, her own jeans, her Arsenal FC top, and her sneakers. Pink panties are back, baby.
Oh, phew. Thank God. I mean, just, there's got to be some sort of payoff at the very end of the book where he asks her to clean the piano, just wearing that.
So right after she went one place, he immediately rushed after her and saved her. Put a pin in that.
Okay.
Now she rushes off again, and he rushes to find her again. And he runs into the bathroom where he was told she was taking a bath. He says it's empty except for the trace of her scent, lavender and roses. For an instant, I close my eyes and inhale. It's soothing.
Oh, my God.
I just thought, you do?
Yeah.
Get going, you idiot. You're stopping to do a TV ad for, a scent or something?
Right.
Get the hell going. But then he says, dread seeps into my bones. Where is she? Has she passed out somewhere? I know that when I can't find someone, I assume they passed out somewhere.
Maybe she passed out next to those knight armors that look like they're holding pikes.
Right. What look like pikes. But then he immediately finds her.
Mm-hmm.
Tension over.
As she was not passing out, we got some more examples of her genius prodigy thing. She sees a massive faded tapestry that depicts a man on bended knee to his sovereign. Well, Alicia assumes he must be the sovereign, judging by the crown he's wearing. So she's making the assumption that yes, he's the sovereign wearing crown and not one of those normal guys who just goes about his life having people kneel to him while he's wearing a crown.
It depicted a very special birthday at Burger King. Is what it did.
It was just a guy at an asylum. People tolerate him wearing a crown, and sort of they humor him so he doesn't have an episode. But then she says, "This is Maxim's family, his heritage. She finds it almost impossible to grasp." She is finding it. It is blowing her mind. It is like Lovecraftian horrors from beyond the grave. It is beyond the realm of her grasping that the rich guy is rich. He comes from a rich family. This is it's just she has witnessed the cosmos in its entirety, and it is beyond the realm of man's ability to grasp.
Yes, as she walks around the cavernous marble staircases with suits of armor, she suddenly she can scarcely take this in, that the person who owns this has some wealth and titles.
She's brushing past one servant after the other, like she hears the Jag pull up outside.
But then so this is an odd way to describe their. I guess they were briefly parted in that she wandered out of the bath and went down the stairs. And that was supposed to be an action sequence. And then suddenly she hears him shout out her name. Why not just Alicia and then her Zot,
Yes.
Why suddenly she hears him shout? Why the passive? This is not tough to write him going, Alicia!
Right.
And, and her collapsing on the floor and him scooping her up, but not even that.
Right. I don't think you can suddenly hear something. I think you just hear it or not, because there's either a noise happening or there isn't. So,
right.
I liked this when he sort of comes up. I found her, but my relief is tempered by her aloof yet inscrutable expression and the fact that she's wearing her old clothes and carrying a sweater and a blanket. Shit, this does not look good. And I think it was implied that, I'm hard as a rock, but just because we haven't had any action. We have not said any stirring, thickening, rising in this passage. So I think we're overdue.
Not a tightening to be found.
Yeah. There's no belly fluttering.
Don't worry, that's coming.
This was sort of insensitive because he says she tosses her hair over her shoulder and tilts her chin in my direction. I'm leaving. No, it's like she's kicked me in the stomach. And just, it's just a touch insensitive considering the thugs had brutally kicked her in the stomach 9 pages ago. But, whatever.
He says to himself as he's talking to her, this is his internal monologue, tread warily, dude.
Yes.
Does anyone refer to himself as dude?
Right. Especially the British guy. I don't know how, I assume that's universal, but it hasn't really come up as a thing.
I guess Spicoli is one of the voices in his head. I don't know.
Let's not talk about that guy and the actor who may or may not have portrayed him. Dear God. We have a good thing coming up that I thought was almost like a passage from an intentionally bad writing contest, because they're like having this sort of standoff. She said she's leaving. They're sobbing. She's been attacked. Then, sir, is everything okay? Danny's voice echoes off the stone walls and up the staircase from beneath us. I lean over the balustrade, and she appears with Jesse and Brody. I don't know who Brody is. Oh, one of the estate hands. So it's his first appearance in the hallway below. So, okay, sure, they're there, but we get a description of this. The three of them gape up at us opened mouth, like curious carp from the fish pond. And like that's all that's really given to us there. It doesn't have any bearing. He just says, "Get the hell out of here. We're talking." But for whatever reason, he lapses into that colorful description of the three servants.
Yeah, well, when you think of, I mean, there's lots of emotions that carp can go through, but curious is definitely the one that we think of. Curious carp. So the three of them, I had this written down, and I just wanted to, again, this is an odd bit of physicality. So the three of them are gape at us open mouth, which is so
yes,
just looking.
Strings of drool are down onto their stately attire.
They've all been described as bright, efficient people, but for one moment,
yeah, like they have to do the cartoon thing of pressing their jaw back up to their mouth to avoid gaping at them. Yeah, it was curious. It was out of place.
Here's a description now, though, that he's being cautious, dude. He's treading warily, dude. But it takes all my self-restraint not to pull her into my arms, but I inch closer, so closer that the warmth of her body seeps into mine. I say that about the guy I sit next to in economy class. Like, damn it, the warmth of his body is seeping into mine.
As you're doing the delicate dance of jostling for the armrest, you just feel the heat of his body seeping into yours.
Oh man, those guys who have that, they have that self-control where they can take the full length of your thigh against their thigh.
Oh my God.
And not back off. I hate those guys. Those guys have steel wills as far as I'm concerned.
Oh man, yeah, just to be one of them, it's like they've gone to a monastery and sort of practiced that art for many years. Every time that they flinch, their master whacks them with a bamboo rod on the back.
Another monumental physical thing here. She's switched the lips that she bites.
Oh wow.
She bites her lower lip and takes one small hesitant step.
Oh, wow. So, you can tell that things are not good.
Right. Also, here's that, that description is supposed to be her again, like, biting her lip and, like, taking one step, like she's a puppy, like, the former master beat the little puppy, and now, here she comes.
Right.
But so demure.
But yeah, so what he says to her, I mean, in her demureness, is I know, because he's worried that she's going to reject him, that she's going to leave, blah blah blah. I know, I've got you. You've had a terrible fright, and like maybe that's what I'd say after someone's like car breaks down in the rain, and like. They weren't sure if they were going to like be able to flag someone down for a jump start, but not something you'd say after two thugs kick down a bathroom door, kick you in the ribs and pull you by the hair and say they're going to kill you, and you have to like threaten to shoot them. Like, oh, a terrible fright. Go to hell.
Look, you fucking pieces of shit. Stop giving her a fright. So this ends with, I don't know if you have the exact wording there.
Was it like I was so scared I thought I'd never see you again? That thing? Is that the chapter?
Right.
Yeah, I liked this because I added my own ending onto the chapter. We
good. Okay.
A couple good chapter endings in a row before the next one, which I think is terrible. Alicia clears her throat. I was so scared. I thought I'd never see you again. But my biggest sorrow, regret, she whispers, was that I never told you that I love you. Oh, and by the way, were those things that those knights were holding pikes? Because I wasn't sure if they looked like pikes. I wasn't sure about that. I love you, by the way. I should have just left it there, but I do.
I thought you were going to end with, what I never told you was that vacuum cleaner of yours is very funny. I don't know where you got it.
Right.
But I smile every time I see it.
Yes. Are you considering getting rid of one of your stoves? Because you might be Maxim one stove Trevelyan.
I think that reminded me of, it was the one funny thing I think in Meet the Parents, or what is that?
Sure.
The Fockers.
Stiller, yeah.
Which the blonde guy, Owen Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
He plays kind of funny character because he's talking about his redesigned kitchen, and he does the double guns and goes, he got the twin Sub-Z's there. So the stoves reminded me of that.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, so that's how 22 ends. It's very dramatic, but I think before we move on, we should probably do some fanfic. 5 excerpts from either the Mister or fanfiction written by our listeners. And this one, I think you've done better on this book probably than any of the others. I'm not sure if it's just the caliber of fanfic that our people are turning in.
Ooh.
Or if you've just sharpened your senses, but we'll see.
A little scold there.
Hey, this is dependent on other people. So if we don't get quality stuff, it makes it a little less interesting. So
I would like to say, you'd think that this is the 5th episode of the Mister.
Yeah,
you'd like to think that the choices would be getting narrower, but no, man, we're not there yet.
Right. It is fun though to have sort of these to have the excerpts that we do know, like we know she ends up in a trunk at some point. So it is fun to have that coloring our expectation for what comes, because you sort of think like, how is it going to get there? And like you said, I think this is how it's going to get there. What? No?
Right.
Unrelated to the thugs? Anyway,
Yep.
So excerpt 1 of 5. Her father glowers dumbfounded at me, and his complexion becoming more florid. She's just told her father she thinks she's pregnant and that you're the father. What? I feel a little dizzy, but wait, she can't possibly. We used... She's lying. Her father reaches for his shotgun. Fuck. That's in italics, by the way.
I think I'm going to tell. I think that is fan fiction, and the giveaway for me is not the plot point. That's fine. That's good. I think florid might be above her level.
His
so
complexion becoming more florid. Does that just mean red?
Just reddening. Yeah.
Okay. And number 2. The flames in her chocolate eyes lick at my soul. I can do this. I can surprise even myself. I can commit to being her hero forevermore. I hear my own voice more steady than it should by rights be. You are already a lady, and you are my lady. But would you like to be a lady? Capital A, capital L in a lady.
So he somehow conveyed the capital L in his to Alicia. I'm going to say that's real.
Okay. Number 3. She says that she owes you her life and can never repay you. I look at Bleriana. Tell her that's not necessary. I did what I did out of love. I thote se nuk I detroyush akji asjigachi. Bleriana looks down, unable to meet my gaze, but I can tell she is crying. Even though I know she and Alicia are not related, I feel like there is a resemblance. Despite her black eye, she's clearly a beautiful woman. Albanians from Kukis must have good genes. I force myself to take a deep breath and mutter something about needing to find the constable so that my groin won't betray the places where my mind is still conditioned to go.
Well, I mean, obviously, I hope that that's real, but I believe that that's fan fiction.
Okay.
Bleriana, I hope, is completely fleshed out. In this,
yes, it's the clock is ticking. Number 4. Fuck, I shout as dread spawns dark and deadly in my gut. Caroline startles. What is it? Alicia! Abandoning Caroline, I race up the street, only to see the car disappear into the distance. Shit, not again. I grab my hair with both hands, helpless, completely helpless.
Wow, grabbing hair with both hands. I like the hair play and everything. This is a flip of a coin, but I'm going to say it's fanfic.
Okay. And then number 5. Alicia screwed her eyes shut and tried to clear her head. She couldn't let her mind linger on the conversation that Maxim and her father could be having on the other side of the heavy oak door. The 2 men who had shaped her life in such different ways were trying to define her connection to her home. It was like they were 2 proud and stubborn eagles trying to occupy the same roost. Zot! I can no longer be anyone's kept woman. I will make my own way.
I don't know. I think it's real.
Okay. Let's see how you did here. I think you got 1 correct.
No!
1 correct.
I'm going down in my skills here.
Number 1, she thinks her father is pregnant as his complexion becomes florid. That was real. So,
okay.
Her father is reaching for his shotgun at some point in time to come. Number 2, would you like to be a lady? That is, you were right in that the capitals would be a hard thing to be conveyed. That was written by Marie. Number 3, him getting horned up for Bleriana. That was fanfic. I wrote that one. We did not get
nice.
things in, but
I wondered when I heard the hitting Bleriana hard. I did have a little inkling.
It is my favorite character. I hope that the Albanian would tip it in your way. I forget what I translated that, but number 4, shit not again, grabbing hair with both hands. That was real. So I don't know what he means by not again as the card disappears. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And then number 5 was I can no longer be anyone's kept woman. I will make my own way. That was by Wendy. So, but I guess there is a big meeting with her father coming up. So we've got that to look forward to. Don't have too much more book going, but. We will get to that.
Yeah, I thought in a previous fanfic that was a real one, I think there was a real passage about the father.
Yeah.
I think I know a little bit about. I'll keep my mouth shut.
Okay.
I think I know a plot point just because of a previous fanfic one.
Okay. Well, anyway, on to chapter 23, where she's just confessed love, and he's sort of like gape-mouthed, just like those carp. But he says, "Since when?" She pauses and lifts a shoulder in a coy shrug. A one shoulder? What was that from? Was that Tech War? Wow, I didn't highlight it because of that. But she does a Tech Warrian shoulder shrug. Wow.
I missed that. Holy cow.
Yeah. But she says, "Since you gave me that umbrella," I beam at her. "I felt so good about that." So he's just being like, I am pretty great, aren't I? What a dipshit.
My first line of this chapter, because they're smooching, and he, italicized Alicia. "My arousal is instant."
Yes.
And I just thought, I don't know what that means. What's happening? Where is it happening? Please be specific about this.
Yes, he says, "I want her, I need her, I love her, but ... she's been through hell." And in his mind, he's probably, so I figure I'll give her 15, 20 minutes before I act on this arousal. Maybe, let her determine if she actually does have permanent kidney damage from that thing before I start unleashing
He's looking at his watch going, do I have to wait longer than I did after I found out she was escaped from a sex ring?
That's right.
Damn it.
Because that was a rough 3 hours.
This sucks.
They call in some doctors. And this was pretty amazing because there's they say the doctor is here to see Alicia. She says, "Doctor, I'm okay." "Doctor, I'm okay," Alicia says hesitantly. He frowns. "Send her up to the blue room. It's not Dr. Carter, it's Dr. Conway, sir. I'll send him up right away, my lord." So it's a reverse the doctor is a woman situation. That sort of classic sexist brain teaser. His Maxim has been betrayed in his wokeness. He assumed the doctor was a woman, but I don't know what the point of that was because it doesn't really pay off. But
that reminds me of a guy. He was a former pastor of mine. Was meeting his neighbors, and the neighbor said, my partner's not here." It was a woman. And she said, Phil is up at the cabin pulling stumps out. Phil is doing this." And like, is this your husband?" And she goes, "How dare you? Philomena is my partner." He's like, "You son of a..."
Nice. That would be it's a Larry David type of moment.
But I would like us both to another one of these challenges. Dr. Conway's laugh is deep and gravelly. I'd like your Dr. Conway impression if I could.
Whom now? Very reassuring laugh from that doctor.
But we passed over one sentence I don't want to miss. "She's extremely emotional, and her ardor may be a direct reaction to being roughed up by those arseholes." What the hell does that mean? Who gets horny after being roughed up by Baldy and Ratface?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she was intrigued by when Ratface tried to spit and missed. Maybe the scent of something dying on his tongue really got her belly a-fluttering.
The book should be about this once again.
They bring her in, and he says he needs to document her bruising. So he says, "Lord Trevithick, would you mind?" He hands Maxim his phone. "Just the bruise." And Maxim says, "Darling, I'll only photograph this bruise, nothing else." Implied. Well, unless you want me to. I brought a Catwoman costume, maybe for later. If once your kidney heals, maybe change into that and snap some more pics.
I see the spreading purple around the place where she was kicked. My arousal is instant. But yeah, this is how he describes that, though. He says, I should take a quick photograph of the bruise. The police might need it for their records. And Maxim says, good idea. A good idea? I mean, I'm pretty sure it's SOP.
Yes, right.
This is not, I didn't come up with the idea of photographing evidence of bruises.
That's like Tommy Wiseau. You invited all my friends to my birthday party. Good thinking.
Good thinking.
But yeah, so the police leave. He's introduced her as his girlfriend or fiance or something like that, just to sort of cover for her not being in the country, although that's sort of a worrisome thing. But once the police leave, they go back. She's playing the piano. We get another reminder that she has synesthesia because she's playing some verdant greens and forest fir colors. And he's watching her. Her hair flows down her back, glinting like a raven's wing in the light of the winter sun that streams through the window. The notes swell and fill the room and my heart. So we've got more of that bad middle school romance love note writing here. And then he says that I have to get to the bottom of why she thought she'd be better off leaving. So he just is rock stupid. He doesn't know why she wanted to leave after he lied to her and had a traumatic experience. It's just very impressive.
Dumb as a post. However, boyish and adorable. Here's another passage. He grins, looking boyish and adorable. She can't quite believe he's fallen for her. He's talented, handsome, kind, wealthy, and he saved her from Dante and Ile once more. And it's just like, we have not advanced beyond this yet? Of her finding him boyish and adorable?
Yeah.
Again, you have boned 600 times. He has put you up in his house. He says he loves you. What is going on?
Right. The boyishness is it hasn't really come up it didn't come up when he was like handcuffing that tight red dressed woman to his bed type of thing. Right. Her raking his back with her long fingernails. It didn't. Yeah, the boyishness didn't come.
Boyishness doesn't come through. But she's playing that piece she's playing is described as the Raindrop Prelude in D minor by Chopin, about which the author George Sand said it casts the soul into a terrible dejection, which is my total review of The Mister.
Nice.
Casting my soul into a terrible dejection.
But those paper clips I brought, 96 count, were they got the job done and a good value. I didn't have to run to Office Depot. There was something that came up. There's a great little exchange. So they've revealed they love each other. They've finally have got that out there. So they're on a new emotional plane, and it's really reflected in the dialogue. So I asked your 372 pages players to maybe get together and. After their show-stopping performance last time. Yeah, I sort of went around you on this, but like now it's sort of like... I
wish you would have just come directly to me, but...
Well, it's a thing like we're hanging out without you, so like we don't need you as the intermediary anymore. Like we do talk about you a lot.
Where'd you guys go after the performance?
O'Brien's.
Oh, okay. I was just around reading.
Huh. Well, it was anyway. More they sort of intimated that like no, he's probably busy, and like I didn't think you would be busy, but they were. It sort of seemed like something they were not.
I was just shopping for prunes on Amazon, but all right.
Anyway, they did a great job recording this scene. I think it captures the real love that's in the room as they're going back and forth here.
Thank you. What for?
Saving me. Again.
It is you who has saved me. Trust me, Alessia, you've saved me in ways I can't even begin to fathom, and I don't know what I would have done if they'd taken you.
But I've brought such trouble into your life.
You have done nothing of the kind. This is not your fault. For God's sake? Never think that.
So yeah, that's hot and heavy, and just again, it's like that dialogue on the runway in Casablanca at the end, And I like that. I like that he claims he's been saved. He's been saved from his life of luxury and hot, frequent, casual sex. He's really. Yeah. It's like one of those "Who saved who" bumper stickers on a dog when someone's rescued on a car when someone's rescued a dog.
I think I have said that to people who have told me they have rescued dogs. It has not gone over well when I've gotten ahead of them and said, well, who rescued who? and they don't take my sarcasm very well.
Because only one of you was probably going to be given an injection to be put down if you,
Right.
you didn't fill out that $75 application fee. Just saying.
Right. Or as my friend used to, one of her jobs as a vet tech was to move the euthanized dogs from one freezer to the other. She would occasionally have to snap a dog in half to get them into the other freezer. I'm only laughing because that was her job. I'm not making light of this, folks.
I was at, when I came back from somewhere last year, I flew into the Boston airport, and we were going to our car in the parking garage, and there was one car that had a big, a dog paw print bumper sticker that said, "I heart dogs." And it was like, wow, that person must really love dogs. The car directly next to it had the Massachusetts license plate, the vanity plate that just said dogs. And I like to imagine that guy looking for a parking spot and being like, well, you think you love dogs, do you? Well, suck on this when you get back from your vacation.
Well, back to the piano playing here.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
She plays Le Coucou from Louis-Claude Daucan. I don't know what she's doing with her choices here. Some of them are like straight down the middle, the raindrop. This one I had never heard of.
Oh, wow.
And I looked it up. It's, I don't know. It seems a little obscure to me. So I don't know if she's trying to signal that I'm a little deeper than most people, folks. But then she's back playing Beethoven's Tempest Sonata. So it's,
Well, as we know, it's never been easier to find obscure references to stuff. Like, so if she was just like, she could have just been scrolling, the top 200 pieces of classical music and gone for number 178 just to avoid using something obvious.
Right. She'd probably switched back and forth. But as he's going through his place, he says, a quick glance at the Georgian wall clock above the door tells me it's 2:15. Couldn't he just ask his Sonos?
Yeah.
Sonos, what time is it?
Yeah, the new Sonos is Sonos Ones do integrate with Google Home, so you're able to talk to them. Got that notification. But we got a couple good things here, all related to his brother. He is explaining, Kit is short for Christopher. He was a demon on drums. I stop by the crash symbol and run my fingers over the polished bronze. Kit? Drum kit? Get it? I flash her a smile. Alicia gives me a puzzled look, which is frankly much more than it deserves.
I know, that was unbelievable.
And then he says, we used to joke about it. I shake my head, remembering Kit's shenanigans on the drums. I don't know, what shenanigans you get, unless he was like, Animal from the Muppets, like actually bursting the drums by playing them so hard. But then he says, come on, I'm hungry, which again is Tommy Wiseauian. Like, let's go eat, huh? Come on, let's go.
Yeah. I had hoped that after the drum kit joke, she had just frozen him for a good, 5 seconds and then done I was just kicked in the ribs by a sex trafficker. And have him go like, oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Go make a sandwich now.
But do you understand? Because drum kit is maybe a localization. I just want to make sure that it was bad timing, but do you it was just short for Christopher, but do you understand how drum kit, anyway, bad timing.
His description of her playing this Beethoven piece, by the way, should be said with like the vocal fry of a 20-year-old, sucking on a water bottle at Lululemon or something. This is Tempest. This is the, a towering piece in the piano canon. And he says, even down here, it sounds amazing.
Oh my God. Gross.
Sounds amazing.
Well, they wrap this up and go to have some lunch. This is pretty good, I thought. There's a couple good things here. He holds a chair out for her. Sit. He nods at her seat. Alicia feels like the noblewoman Donica Castriati, the wife of Skenderbru, Albania's 15th century hero. So that relatable little anecdote.
That's my final note of the thing. Hey, man, we've all been there, huh?
Yeah, so, I mean, I try to put references to the noblewoman Donica Castrati in riff tracks all the time, and they get shot down for him being, no one will get this, no one will think this is funny, and so finally some vindication that People would have been laughing at him all along.
When you do this, it's a writing room situation. You put one hand on each of the chests of the people next to you, and then you lean out forward and go, hey, this situation reminds me, right, guys, of like Donica Castriati. It's like, Connor, not again, man.
Silence fills the room, and I'm left to one day hope it will show up in a romance novel. But we do then get my final Kleinian part of this section. Maxim reaches for his linen napkin, drapes it on his lap. Watching him, Alicia follows suit. I guess she didn't understand that napkins are something you use in that fashion. Danny takes 2 plates from the tray and serves each of them what looks like a salad with meat and avocado and pomegranate seeds. I don't know. Again, eliminate what looks like. Serves them a salad with meat and avocado and pomegranate seeds. Stronger sentence. There you go. But then, right. So then he says, Danny says, pulled pork from one of the local farms with a salad of fresh leaves finished with a pomegranate jus. Thanks, Maxim responds, and gives Danny a quizzical look. I don't know if the quizzical look is because he's trying to figure out if it is a salad or not, because it looks like one. But the quizzical look is never explained. It's very puzzling.
I guess the salad could have been pikes from right?
Yeah, they could have. There's no telling. It looks like a salad, but
right.
They're doing some great things with pikes in molecular gastronomy these days.
Right.
And the chapter, they end the chapter, if you got something else.
No, that was my final one.
Because the chapter ends with just they purely run it into a ditch and walk away from it. She has an array of knives and forks to choose from. Glancing at Maxim, she sees him smile and pick up the outermost knife and fork. Always start from the outside and work inward with each course. End of chapter.
Scene.
Yes, exactly.
I wish that he had said, I'm so grateful that I was taught by Danny how to use a knife in case I ever don't have my guns with me. End of chapter.
Right. Oh, just like the noble woman Donica Castriati.
So much like it. It's really shocking.
Well, we've got chapter 24 is the last chapter of this thing, and the first thing I pulled from it was I don't know how to say this, but I got together with the players once again.
What?
Yeah. I invited him to my brother's wedding. We sort of hit it off, and I just feel obligated to keep inviting him places because we keep asking him to record these scenes and we don't pay him. But
did they expense their flights then?
Yeah.
We're on the hook for that?
I took it out of your Patreon earnings for this month since you were the ones who found them. So I thought that was sort of fair. But you would want that to go that way. I wouldn't take.
Did they go business class? Because I've never flown business class.
They did. It was part of their demands. And there are usually like 2 of them that show up on these recordings, but they've sort of traveled with an entourage. So it was an expensive flight. Their managers and their guy who holds their mirror for them. Anyway,
all right.
But you're going to hear this, and their work here really captures the what we've got going on. These people who have just fallen in love, sort of how they're interacting now.
Look. A deer.
We've had deer here for centuries.
The one we saw yesterday. It was from here?
No. I think it was wild.
The dogs do not bother them?
No. But we keep the dogs out of the south pasture near lambing time. We don't want them worrying the sheep.
There are no goats here?
No. We're more sheep and cattle people.
We are goat people.
Yeah, wow.
Uh-huh.
That was worth it. That was worth the expense and time.
Right. So.
Thanks.
But yeah, it just sort of captures it. They're goat people,
Yeah. Could you have one of the people from the troupe just give me a ring?
They asked you to go through their manager.
Okay.
These days, it's it's nothing personal. It just makes it easier for them to manage.
I just tried to email them. I just haven't heard anything back.
Yeah,
so.
The manager is the way to
Okay.
Go.
All right. I'll do that.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm their manager now. I've sort of accepted that.
I see. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So they're talking about marriage, all this stuff. They're like outside. They saw that deer. I liked this part where they're doing a huge like smooch, and so that when we come up for air, our breath mingles in the steamy fog and the cold around us. Our fingers wrapped around the lapels of my coat. Jensen, the hound, sticks his muzzle into my thigh. And so I thought that Jensen was probably thinking, Roraine is right, mister. And then he says, I think Jensen wants to join in. And I thought like maybe this is going to go in a really unexpected direction in the final 8 chapters.
Oh, maybe that's what all the talk is about, this book. Yeah. I just noted, though, that when they are clutching each other, she's hands moving over my back and clutching at the material of my coat. And please, what is the proper way to clutch a man? By the biceps,
yes,
of course.
Please,
yeah,
yes, we all know.
This is ridiculous.
Convenient and natural.
But despite her, the ups and downs, the emotional shocks, the physical, she's seen a doctor. She's been, the crime itself has been documented. That has to be a little bit, traumatic.
Invasive, yeah.
Yeah. She's still able to crack wise, which I loved. Maybe you're still in shock. I am, she whispers. I'm shocked that you love me.
Yes.
So...
Also from the kidney they ruptured, that too.
Right. There is urea seeping into my blood, so I'm going into shock as well.
But she's cracking wise, but this was a very puzzling passage. He says, I also think, so they're making out, outside, so they're wearing, jackets and stuff. I also think we're wearing too many clothes. I rest my forehead on hers. Do you want to take them off? She chews on her lip. He says, always. I am warm, too warm, she whispers. What? I looked down at her once more. My remark was flippant and meant to be amusing, not a come on. So it's like, what the hell is he talking about? It's the one time he's not like horny to the point of bursting, and like he's like scolding or something. And his remark was, I think we're wearing too many clothes, and do you want to take them off? He says, always. Like, this is not, he's never said anything that was like sexual that was meant to be amusing. It's always like to advance it to the next stage.
Yeah, this is at the same level as the story about the person talking about her partner, Phil. It's like, right. Look, yes, you were explicitly, yes. This was explicit here. What? Yeah. Where did you get that?
Right. It's multiple stages. They've responded to each other and brought this further and further to the stated goal.
Yeah. We also get him saying to her, you are so brave in so many ways, and I've fallen for you, all of you, madly, passionately. Cut to Alicia's point of view. I wonder if he likes me. That's not actually in that. But
right.
That's what,
yeah. It's not the last time that's happened, I'm guessing. But we finally get there. We, she undoes my jeans, and she places... in a really bold move, places her hand over his erection. So, our Beowulf's hero's journey is now complete. He takes a deep breath, and he uses this turn of phrase again for the second time. I think I take a deep breath. She is going to unman me. I have no idea what this means in this context.
I didn't know what that meant either. I don't know.
Yeah,
especially given her penchant for making up weird things about, she grabs my man, or,
right.
It's like, what is this? Unmanned? Does it mean like he has no control over himself or something?
I suppose.
I don't know.
I think the last time he was crying, and so that made a lot of sense in that context, from the stereotypical view of masculinity. But
right.
Here, I don't know. But we get more nipple worshiping. And then we go to a scene that was, I have how I think it would play out in real life. She says, take them off. My underwear? Maxim's smile is lopsided. Yes. He smirks and removes one sock, then the other. There. And so I just thought, okay, well, I'm going back to the sex slave trade because that was the worst thing I've ever seen. It's been real. Goodbye.
Oh God, that is awful. I think I probably started skimming because this is, just bone in here.
Yeah, he's going full Austin Powers with his goofiness.
But you missed a part about the nipples. This was the one that really had me puzzling. She skims over one of his nipples, and it puckers under her touch. Is this like his face splitting? He is insectivore in some way or something?
Yes, right. It's like a carnivorous plant or something. When you touch it, it shrinks.
Weird.
But yeah, so he says he does that whole thing. She giggles, marveling at how boyish he can be. So that's still a turn on. And even though I just read to you that I thought the hero's journey was complete, but she says she's yearning to explore his body, all of his body. And we know, we're very aware, but I thought that it just ended based on, her grabbing his hog.
Right.
But no, she says, so she takes it and wraps it around it again. She gasps, both shocked and thrilled. It is big and hard and velvet smooth at once. So,
oh God,
there we go. It's been worth it.
So they do the deed.
Oh yeah,
and she's naked. Her hair is loose and flowing down to her waist, preserving her modesty. What? Modesty?
Yeah.
We just had 12 pages of
right. De-grasping and velvety smooth and the modesty, they do it, I believe, 3 more times in this chapter.
So suddenly she's fluttering her eyebrows and, doing her eyelashes and waving herself with a fan from under her bonnet and giggling like, oh, sir.
Right.
Sir, please, you are so forward.
And she has a ton of hair, I suppose, if she's essentially using it like a bathrobe.
Right.
But yeah, so they keep going at it. Danny brings them some sort of like room service, and he says, I've brought women here before, but Danny's never been as solicitous as she's been today. She must know I'm in love, head over heels, completely, utterly, wholly in love. And I thought, there's also a chance she's making up for her like complete indefensible lack of judgment regarding the thugs that almost killed multiple people today. Like that could be more along the lines of her thinking, like, I hope he doesn't fire me for the stupidest thing a human has ever done.
Or she's just doing this, but she's also withholding the fact that like 10 Eastern European guys came to the door this time, and they were armed. And I chased them out with a broom, sir. Why didn't you tell me this?
Is that information you could have used? I can tell that it probably was.
One of my favorite things that this idiot has ever said is when they're talking post-coital talk about music, and he says, who's your favorite composer? Bach? Which is, it's like, let me ask you a question, Connor. Hey, what's your favorite food? Is it corn? I mean,
right.
Just give me a second. I'll tell you what.
Right.
What
yes. It's and
also given that she's only played one Bach piece, I think.
Right.
But
going with the one composer, the $200 Jeopardy clue for composers is pretty funny right there too.
I wish she had said that though. Just give me a second.
Yeah. Who's your favorite baseball player? Babe Ruth. Who's your favorite soccer player? Pele. Like, all right.
Yep.
Well,
but the answer is spectacular. I assume you noted this as well.
No, my eyes glossed over. I was thinking about 15th century Albanian noblewoman again.
My favorite composer, she says, is you.
Ugh.
Yep. Her favorite composer is DJ Maxi T. She's been playing Rachmaninoff's piano concertos.
Yeah.
She's been playing Beethoven sonatas. She's been playing the Bach preludes and fugues. She prefers his shit.
Yeah, there's the symphony he wrote while coked up, and a woman in 8-inch stilettos is snoring in his bed.
Yep. Oh, man.
But so yeah, they keep getting busy, and he at some point in time, this chapter again just sort of runs into a ditch. But he says the thing that I noted: I toss another log on the fire, sit down in the armchair opposite her, and take a sip of the delicious wine. I've not felt this degree of peace since Kit died. In fact, I can't remember ever feeling this way. And I just at that point in time, I was like, well, 100 pages of book left now. It seems like a lot of loose threads have been tied up. I mean, you've got the issue of her citizenship, but that's easily resolved by marrying her. So, all right.
Yeah, we're all done.
But I guess she ends up in a trunk at some point in time.
Well, very similar thought to yours, based on this sentence. Her hair is a wonderful mess, spilling over her shoulders down to her waist. She's luminous. She's lovely. And mine. And that's about the 12th time that he said something very, very similar. And it just reminded me of a buddy of mine worked for his father, who was an electrician, and he said more than once his dad would just touch a 110 line because he was so used to it. But sometimes if he was in an odd physical position on a ladder or something, he would get caught on the thing and just start vibrating. And he'd go, Get me off. And he'd have to grab a broomstick and like get him off. And I just thought, this woman needs to be hit with a broomstick right about now. She is stuck and she can't get off of this thing. She is in a cycle. We got to get her down from here. Yeah. This is unbelievable.
Please separate her from this idiot.
Yes.
Your friend's dad probably looked like her when she was in the bathroom having all those physical reactions to them kicking down the door.
Yeah. Or him too at any time when he's talking to her, all those physical things.
She loves me. She hates me.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I had.
That's all I got.
Okay. Well, I think it's probably then time to read some listener emails.
We're going to the party. We're going to the game. We're going to the disco. We're going to cruise out, man.
All right. So a lot of these emails come from our Patreon supporters who are very generous and get to listen to everything earlier than everybody else. They get to see our cooking videos, and every dollar that gets contributed, we contribute a portion of that to good causes every month. So thanks to everyone who does that. Patreon.com/372 pages.
Those of you who aren't on Patreon, a lot of action there recently. So a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. We're near up to 400 people supporting it, which is pretty awesome. That
is excellent.
So the first one is from Paige. She sent a link to an independent.co.uk article about E.L. James, which claims James traveled to Albania twice to research the novel and collected a small library of books about the country, including an Albanian dictionary, guide to Albanian social codes and laws, and a book about Albanian organized crime. Her husband, who is the household cook, learned to make traditional Albanian stews. And Paige wrote, I refuse to believe this is true. Someone who had visited a place twice and researched it could not possibly write something so stilted. I'm sure that factsking.com is in her library of Albanian reference. And really, what on earth did you glean from organized crime or even the stews? What? We haven't had any Albania cooking, I don't think.
No, she did that, but it's like the Bach thing. She talked about her father's favorite dish was the national dish of Albania.
Sure, yes.
So she researched it, and what kind of food do you have here? Well, our national dish is, okay, good, I'm done.
Right.
Oh, but there's so much more. It is a rich culture. Nah, that's good.
Right. It screams tax write-off, I'm guessing.
Right.
And then another listener, Luke, wrote in, I'm reading ahead on a train to Berlin today, so this comment will be for when Chapter 30 happens, and then something happens. Maxim goes to Albania, visits at a hotel, and complains there are no women anywhere. I've stayed at the very hotel mentioned in the book. I've been to the museums he goes to. James clearly never went to Tirana. You know why? I saw tons of women out and about, shopping with boyfriends, girlfriends, etc. I saw women shopkeepers and women wearing skimpy clothing. The park was full of families and kids playing. It pisses me off that James did so little research about Albania, since it isn't some backwater European place, and you can easily rent nice cars at the airport. I assume they have seatbelts. So yeah, I really think she probably flew in to Albania, took a 3-week European jaunt, and then just wrote the whole thing off because she had done some research.
Yeah, so I'm assuming when she describes Albania, she's thinking of peasants from a 1930s Universal monster movie. You know? The wolf is back.
Right.
They're just the standard costumes they grab off the rack, and
a hunched over woman who's probably meant to be 80 but is probably in her early 40s.
Right.
Careworn as hell. But so then Kevin says, longtime listener and Patreon supporter. Thank you, Kevin. First time emailer. I think I have E.L. James' point of reference for all of Alicia's bicep grabbing. Yeah. And it's one of the posters for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. And he sent a link to it, which I will post. It's a very, it's spot on. I thought this was a bizarre pose when I saw this a year ago, and I guess it stuck with me. one hand wrapped around a bicep, the other squeezing his hand. If only Chris Pratt was a suave DJ and Bryce Howard an Albanian sex trafficking victim, the poster could be reworked for the Misters film adaptation. And yeah, she's grabbing his bicep with her hand facing back towards him. But in this thing, they're obviously running from dinosaurs. So she is somehow maintaining this awkward contact as they're moving forward. It makes no sense in the context of physical reality.
Oh, wow. I can't wait to see it. Yeah, that one has really puzzled me.
And then the last email, Jennifer. So she says that, just so you know, Maxim is 1,000,000 times better than Christian Grey, the 50 Shades of Grey protagonist. These are some examples of what Christian does. He gets mad when Anastasia takes off her top at a topless beach because other men can see her. He returns from an important business meeting because Anastasia went out drinking with her friend when he told her not to leave the house. And... ready? Big sip of tea? Big sip of tea?
Okay, got it. Oh, that big mouthful of prunes, too. Here we go.
Don't think about prunes when you're reading this one. Makes Anastasia wear anal beads when she meets his folks for the first time. And she says, these are many more examples of Christian being unreasonable. He is supposed to be a hero of famous book series, but is more like a villain from a Hallmark movie. How many Hallmark movie villains...
that does not come up.
No, Candace Cameron isn't sitting around at in a Christmas town that she got stuck in, meeting the guy's parents.
I think in the movie The Prince of Brides, maybe that happens, but I don't know.
Wow. So yeah, you can tell, I guess, maybe how some people might have been let down by this book if that's the kind of stuff going on in her other works.
Yeah, I guess this is so. This gets for them gets a PG rating. I
yeah, yes, exactly. So yeah, all right, that's good to know. Time for dumb sentences.
A sentence begins with a capital letter. A capital letter is a letter that's big. A capital letter is not a small letter. A capital letter is big, big, big.
All right.
A sentence
I'm checking my notes. You go, because I'll check my notes to see if mine was burnt or not.
Sir, yeah, I burnt some of mine, but I think there's a few more good ones. Justin, my panic mushrooms. We covered that. Blake, this is one that's sort of like in the context. It's dumb. She thinks the piano. He says it doesn't seem dumb, sure, but when you consider Alicia is walking through the burgled flat and noticing what was stolen, she's wondering what else must have been stolen and thinks the piano, and then runs off to make sure the burglars haven't stolen the grand piano from the apartment on the 7th floor. So, yeah, it's unlikely they would have stolen the piano. And now that I'm reading it, maybe that's from the next chapter. He might have gone in advance, but yeah, burglar stealing a piano seems unlikely to me.
Right.
Here's a good one. Carson says she stops, fascinated by his body, and in a really bold move, places her hand over his erection. And he was like, what is this, Sunday Night Football? Like the editorializing? Now you got to pay attention here, Al. In a really bold move, Alicia actually reaches out and touches the pants tent. I got to say, Chris, you don't always see that kind of confidence in a rookie, but boy, did it pay off for her.
Oh, that's funny.
We have Braden, who submitted all italics prune. Laura, I take a shortcut along the back roads to the great house that is Tresillian Hall because it's faster than going up the main drive. I didn't notice that one, but that is fantastic. She says, you can never assume your readers understand what a shortcut is.
Right.
Janelle submitted, her giggle is breathy and it speaks directly to my groin. Then you have Andrew saying, the woman who called Mrs. B or G or whatever says, I was going to call the police, but I thought I'd call you instead, dear. And he was just flummoxed by the fact that, both are an option. You could call the police and report a robbery and call me, since I'm not really in a position to deal with it. But
right.
I had, let's see, how I had her giggle is breathy and speaks directly to my groin. I had, here's another good one. I had the Avenging Archangel. Oh, this one. While she's been in Cornwall, laughing on the beach, drinking in the pub, eating in fine restaurants, having sexual intercourse, and falling in love with Mr. Maxim, she has lost sight of that reality. I just thought her using the phrase "having sexual intercourse" was good, and
Right.
and the other one was, oh yeah, she looks rumpled and sexy and eminently fuckable.
Oh God,
Rumpled. I'm going to use that one. I'm going to use that one next time I'm describing someone attractive.
check out that rumpled chick over there. Oh well. I think all of mine were. I'm going to just go with her bladder fails and the telltale wetness seeps down her leg and into her new jeans.
Oh, the telltale wetness.
Her fate is sealed. I do like Baldy Spit's words at his rat-faced colleague as well. That's, it's one of her more colorful ones.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The spit, hopefully his spit doesn't miss and his words dribble down his own chin.
Right. I guess I could have said my dumb sentence of the week was Este patrushta el tij nese mapruste. But it's hard to tell.
All right. Well, I think that does it for us. For next time, we're going to read up to page 442. There's not at the end of a chapter, but figured divide it instead of doing one super long one, because these are super long as it is. We would do a shorter ones for the final 100 pages or whatever. Page 442, there's a sentence, sort of a section that ends with, "But I hope I find my girl." So we're going to have some sort of, she goes missing, I guess. So 442, "But I hope I find my girl."
Can we confidently assume that there'll be a cessation of the sex scenes until the end of the book?
Yes, there has to be. There has to be. I mean,
I hope so.
I don't know. Trunk sex. You never know where EL's going. We've seen some evidence that she's got some pretty crazy thoughts.
What was that? The rest stop. I don't think they had sex there, but he was getting pretty horned up there too. So it's possible anywhere, obviously.
He was eyeing the Sbarro and the Auntie Anne's pizza pretzel shop, and just the dual aromas got him all ready to go.
Cold Stone Creamery. I got a cold stone for you right here.
I do not understand that metaphor, Mr. Maxim. Is the cold stone your erection? It is. I guess it is hard, but cold does not associate with it.
Drum kit? I don't know.
I rumple my nose politely.
Rumple?
Oh. All right. Well, thanks, everybody.
Yes, thank you. We'll be back very soon with another 372 pages. We'll never get back.
Bye.
Zot.